Oh, this is Nakatani. How are you? I'm sorry that I'm late. So shall we start? But I think before starting, I am not sure how many persons are with us today. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kim and Marcy and Jenny and Wakako and Hikari. So I recognize colleagues from NAM and also 4 other persons. So why don't you start from introducing yourself and give me what kind of focus you would like to discuss today. So Kim, I think lady first. Please start.
Hi there. I'm actually with the Japan Center for International Exchange, JCIE.
Hi.
I think you know many of my colleagues.
Yes, very much. You are in New York
I'm
or
in New
Washington?
York, yes.
Okay, great.
Yes, so I work on the Healthy Aging program with Satoko Ito.
Oh, yes.
Colleagues. So I'm very happy to meet you. And
thank you.
Oh,
wow. Perfect Japanese. I think better than me.
No.
Okay, thank you. So, Marcy, would you mind to speak? Maybe I think I will invite him again. So
I think he had said in the chat earlier that he was having technical difficulties, so he'll just be participating via the chat.
Okay. So would you mind to sending him a text saying that if he's ready, I welcome him anytime to speak. So Wakako, would you mind to speak?
Right. Good morning or good evening. My name is Wakako Tsuchida. I'm working for EMET, Japan Agency for Medical Research and Development. And EMET is one of the sponsors for this Catalyst Awards.
Thank you for helping us.
Thank you.
Good. So I think we have a small group. So let me start. And I prepared a few slides. So let me show you my slide and see how it goes. The slide is shown to you. Excuse me. I'm not sure how to manage it. Can you see the slide?
You can see the web page.
Oh, web page.
Yeah.
Okay, that is to me, I have problem that I cannot see even that slide as well. Oh, yeah, here I think. Good, maybe this. All right. Okay, so this is a typical session of World Health Organization's Executive Board. So I'm in the middle, chairing, and it was of early February of 2020, and Director General Tedros just came back from Beijing, and he was coughing, so I was very scared. So that is the day I was chairing, and picture was taken. And my career is like this. I started as a clinician, and going back and forth between Japan and WHO, and finally I become Assistant Director General of World Health Organization under Director General Dr. Chen. And this slide is interesting. I am chairing one meeting which WHO is decorating Mr. Xi Jinping, his wife, as a goodwill ambassador of WHO. And then I completed tenure of WHO and returned to Japan. And I'm teaching at 2 universities and serving to several international organizations as board members or sometimes the chair of the board. And I am advisor to the health minister. So that is what I am doing. But as a university teacher, my effort goes to mentoring of persons who would like to work in global health. So that is who I am now. As you know, I think our common issue is aging. Aging is global phenomenon. But it's very interesting. Definition of senior citizens in UN system is still over 60 years of old. So I think that is, to me, it's a quite strange definitions. Japanese is this week we celebrated Respect Senior Citizens Day on Monday. Our definition is 65 years and over, but now we are thinking to elevate to 75. It is because I think functional capability of senior citizens in Japan, for example, walking speed to walk. Present persons age 75 walk as quick as 65 years person in 20 years ago. So we claim that 75 is a good figures to think about, and our financial data like utilization of healthcare and welfare services is sharply elevated after 75. Therefore, why don't we consider that up to 75, we would have more inclusive approach as labor force, as for communities. So that is what we are aiming for. And then over 100, when I entered health ministry, at the time, it was very rare. So every Respect Senior Citizens Day, those over 100, health minister personally visit the house and give small gift. That is 40 years ago. But when I became Director General of Hiroshima Prefecture, senior citizens over 100 is so large. So that visiting 100 persons by health minister was delegated to prefectural governor. So that is 25 years ago. And when I departed Hiroshima Prefecture, at the time, it was again delegated to health center chief. So that is proliferation of senior citizens over 100. So my university, KO, is collecting all samples, blood sample, DNA samples, and history samples of senior citizens. We started 50 years ago. At the time, it was manageable. But now we are concentrated on super centurions, defined over 110. But still, we have quite plenty. But if you look at senior citizens defined by UN as 60s, so that is 2015s. Only Black, that is over 30% of population is over 60, is only Japan. But this is 20. Japan and Germany and Italy, I think old friends. Oh, well, for the club again. But 75, look at Europe is sharply gray. And then that is over 30, 2030, Asia's aging is very prominent. Look at 2035, Korea and Thailand is over 30% of population is over 60. That 40, big China joined. And then 45, Chile, I think I could not imagine that Chile is joining Silver Citizens Countries team in 2045. And this is 50. And that is quite, almost all Europeans are very senior citizens countries, and North America and Asia as well. And this it will be accelerated by COVID, by sharp decline of birth rate. And also, I think it's quite interestingly, in many Asian countries, excess death is declined. So last years, despite of COVID, Japanese life expectancy was expanded because of a very little number of influenza deaths last year. Then we feel that, well, Japan is facing two tsunamis, silver tsunamis and COVID tsunamis. But I think this hot side picture is interesting. The first ship is going to overcome the first big wave. And second ship is waiting, looking at the first ship, whether that is successfully overcome or not. That is really symbolizing Japan is first aging society. And now 29% of population is over 65. Other Asian nations, particularly East Asian nations, Korea, Taiwan, and China, And also surprisingly, Vietnam are really looking at Japan, whether we can manage tour of silver tsunami. So that is where we are. But I think COVID is interesting to reshape global health, because global health was looking at poor countries, young children and mother. So that is in short where global health has been looking for. But the COVID is concerned, 50% of deaths came from high-income countries and upper middle-income countries, 50%. It is first time that global health agenda is not health problem of developing countries, but developed countries' health problem is really problematic. So that is changing global health very much. So it used to be global health is looking at a service in low-income countries. And this policy of service of low-income countries is discussed at the forum of WHO or UN system. That is previous global health. But now growing part in is R&D. So that is amazing. Within 11 months after the disclosure of DNA of the COVID virus, we had vaccines. So that is remarkable R&D. So this R&D part is becoming central theme of global health recently. And then for mid-income countries, there's growing areas like clinical trial systems. There's big hospital is emerging in Asia. So that middle is one is HII. I think Japanese trading companies sponsored company chains in Asia where they have clinical trial networks. And then immigrant workers and R&D for nursing care area is growing and booming areas. So this lady is wearing simplified assistive gear that prevent lumbar care. That is now becoming widely purchasable through Amazon Japan. Actually, my birthday next month, I'm hoping my wife is buying this gear for me, because I am carrying a box of wine that is quite heavy. So I need this. But that is cost about $1,000. So I think this is new business areas is growing. So I think international health, starting from International Sanitary Conference, that is a quarantine association, is becoming Health Bureau of League of Nations, and that after the war, it's become WHO. But its history is interesting at the time. Architects of WHO is really US and the UK. The two negotiators, Surgeon General of the United States and Chief Medical Officer of UK, is really drafting Constitution of WHO. So that is very interesting history. After that, US is a little bit, particularly previous president was quite difficult with WHO. But I think father of WHO is really Americans and the Europeans, UK. And then partnership comes, and then now we have issues of R&D and how to increase access to everyone. So partnership building, perhaps our next generation of organizations will be a hybrid organization, something a platform. I think typically a COVID platform for vaccines of COVID-19, COVAX, is really platform. So that is perhaps we are looking for. So I think the global health is changing, and opportunity comes, and also aging is concerned. It's not a matter of senior citizens' health issues. That is more cross-cuttingly influencing and also benefited by other sectors as well. And also that will give a huge business opportunities. And that needs much and unique innovations and R&D, which is not biological only, but more social and culture, perhaps, or financial. So that is the world which we are going to. Okay, so that is my initial presentation. but I'm happy to answer any questions or many points which we can discuss together. Marcy, you are connected? Seems not. Okay. So shall we start conversation? Kim, you know Japan as well, and also you know how Japan is connected or not connected worldwide. So can you start?
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of possible avenues to talk about. I'm not sure what's the most interesting. Others. I was just looking. Mr. Murthy had put a comment in the chat.
Oh, okay. I failed to look at. Yes.
So we might want to look at that. Make sure he's included as well.
Directions. Often the loneliness is from not making sense of change against a broader framework about life. Thank you. Yeah. But I think gradually we think that health sector is concentrating on health sector, like silo. But that is quite, I think, social determinants and so on, or resilience of people is getting small. So I think social environment is very important. So there is many interesting studies in Japan is doing, and one of healthy longevity reports is concerned. I think. Oh no, I think John Wong's boss, Chu Chuan Tan. He was dean of National University of Singapore, visited Japan, and I brought him one very interesting suburb city of Tokyo, Kashiwa City. Kashiwa was known as very typical, we call bed town. Bed town means a businessman commute from that city to metropolitan Tokyo every day and return to only sleep and coming back to the work next day. So bed town. And then bed town is suddenly become very problematic, because I think those cohort who are hired by high boom or economic boom period is at the same time, nearly the same time, retired at the age of 65. So everybody returned to the bed town and stay day and night. So how to accept this? Because they feel that their community is in Tokyo, that the functional communities. So they eat, dine, laugh, and drink in Tokyo. And Kashiwa is just a place to return home and perhaps stay on the weekends. So 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days in Kashiwa City, how to do? So that is problem of city administration and also these ex-businessmen as well. So Kashiwa City started very interesting social trials, like let's ask everyone to have something to offer to the communities. So those who likes driving, so encourage them to be a volunteer to bring more senior person to daycare center. Those who likes books, why don't you start sort of leading at kindergarten and also primary school? So that is arrangement has done. And it was very interesting. Those who are actively participate is very low rate of getting service of welfare services, and cognitive function is well kept. And it's more interesting things that they have some group, and those who are given some laws in the group is much better in keeping functions. So it is very interesting. One group have 20 vice president. That is walking circle. Vice president responsible for road safety. Vice president responsible for weather forecast to disseminate information. Vice president for water supply. vice president for something of notice distribution. So everyone has some laws. That gives much better, even better. And also it's interesting how intensive exercise is influencing to the degree of utilization of welfare service. So no exercise is a worst performer. But it's very interesting. The best performer is mild and group exercise a few times a week. So that is best performer. And second best performer is very enthusiastic athletes, like marathon runners and triathlon runners. They are not necessarily the best performer. That is very interesting. Group performing or group work is interesting. Such information or data is coming. That is the interesting part.
That is interesting.
Yes, this very interesting part. And yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Mr. Murthy mentioned was Hinduism, and I think the impact of religion is an interesting factor when you look at cross-cultural comparisons. Thailand's been able to really capitalize on using the Buddhist temples as community centers, which is something that Japan doesn't really do. I think it's much less religious oriented. In the United States, of course, it depends on the region and the people, but fewer and fewer people are really going to church regularly. So that's one aspect I think that's very interesting to look at of engagement and socialization and the impact on aging.
I think Japanese religion is not well connected to social activities.
Right.
Just is becoming a sort of ceremony of funerals. Otherwise, Japanese is quite religious. We go to shrine for New Year Day. We celebrate the Christmas Day, and we like very much is a curry and tandoori chicken. So I think I have worked with working with Indian colleagues. Wakako, do you have any points, comments? Oh. So I think with regards to JCIA's work is concerned, I think Asia well-being initiatives.
Asia Health and Wellbeing Initiative.
Yes.
Yes, that's what I've been working on with.
Yeah. So how it goes, I think that is some prize is organized, and last year it was done in Vietnam. I forgot. I think try to do some activities in outside of Japan. That is what I am I'm aware about.
Yeah. So we do the Healthy Aging Prize for Asian Innovation.
Yes.
And we've done it 2 rounds now. And last year, one of the winners was the Help Age Vietnam. So we had 3 winners last year, 3 grand prize winners. And then this year we had 3 grand prize winners and also 3 special prizes for organizations that were able to respond to COVID-19 pandemic situation as well and address the concerns of the older people in their communities. So it's been very interesting, and we have a lot of case studies that we're putting up on the alwyn.org website. So we're trying to kind of build a database of best practices and innovations using that site and using that as a platform to share. We've been doing webinars, we've got some policy briefs there, we've got some data that we've pulled together, a map similar to the one that you were showing in terms of the rates of aging, but also healthy longevity. We have some data from Reiko Hayashi, who's been doing studies of looking at different countries and seeing the percentage of older people who are living alone and the percentage of healthcare workers who are available in different communities. And she's gone down to kind of the prefectural or state levels in each country. So there's a lot of interesting information there.
Yes, but I think Marcy is pointing out that innovations need out of box thinking. That is really true. And but the application in the health sector is useful for other sectors. That is to me a most fascinating area. For example, in financial areas of sector in Japan, I think health sectors the new technology is quite well utilized. A typical example is that sales of financial products of the bank or is concerned. I think gradually they introduce cognitive function check for senior citizens. That is triggered by very tragic things that one local bank declared that they don't want to have a business with anyone over 75 because there is too much problem. And for example, they properly explain the products and senior citizens or people understand and the benefit and potential risks and signed. So they feel that that is proper business. But next day, very agitated daughter comes to the bank and shouting that, well, this bank is cheating my father. And she has a financial conflict of interest of inheritation of financial assets. So that is really a problem. So I think as an industry-wide, how this cognitive function can be assessed. And if that person is cognitively justifiable to sign contracts. So that is new areas. And that distance, telemedicine is being introduced and some AI technology is introduced. And that is very booming areas. And that is direct implication. That is encouraging financial inclusion of senior citizens. And actually that is very important for financial sector of Japan too, because 70% of financial asset, which is as banks, is owned by a person over 65. So Japanese is most rich when they die, or we die. So that is quite pity, and that is long life become sort of risks or financial risks for everyone. So everyone very much would like to save. So there's a big joke that Nagoya, that is third largest city of Japan, a mayor visited very famous twin sisters, age 100, and bringing sort of some small gift and small gift money for 100 years of birth. And the response was very unique. That was quoted everywhere. The governor or mayor asked, how would you like to use this money? And the response was that to save for longer life. So that is voiced by 100 years lady. So they are afraid of long life.
Yeah, I can get that one. But that's a very interesting case, though, that you're mentioning in terms of the banks. I know, with my own mother is 87 now, and my sister and I worry about that. And, there's that conflict that the parents don't want to release control of their finances. And yet we worry because we know we see some occasional, forgetfulness or a little confusion. Yes. She's 87. It's not unusual. But the financial advisor is always like, oh, she's fine. She's as healthy, as good as she's ever been. And it's like, I don't know. So it is a tricky question, and the intergenerational relationships in terms of having those discussions is always complicated as well. But yeah, if there was a technology for financial control and for driving, I think is the other one where
Yes.
the relinquishing of the keys at some point is always a big issue. And
I don't know how US is concerned. That is many a misunderstanding that senior drivers are dangerous. But actually, age-adjusted accent is concerned. Senior drivers are not bad. I think most risky person is young drivers. But I think many people that senior drivers are a dangerous driver. But I think that is innovation is coming in. For example, I think many Japanese car is not selling for presently fuel. I think that is already hybrid is fuel efficiency is gained to the maximum, but they are competing for safety. That is a good point. Safety. So, and we are not too much enthusiastic about electric vehicle at the time. It is quite still expensive, but I think accident prevention is really becoming quite good. So I think traffic death is declining quite sharply.
Yeah, that's good. And the self-driving vehicles, I guess, eventually will
Yes,
help that as well. Yeah,
I think so. And Wakako-san,
Sorry,
are you
I'm
connected?
sorry, I was muted.
Oh yes, so
Yeah.
please join us.
Yes, thank you. My interest is that now in Japan, as you mentioned, that fewer young people have to support the cost for medication or health for the older people. And then if the number of older people is getting bigger and bigger, the much more burden will be on for younger people. And then my question is about the finance policy, because now as a funding agency, we promote the research for the healthy longevity, of course, but it is because that we want to reduce the cost for health and medication. So I think that it's just my interest, but how we can reduce the cost for medication if we yes.
So cost of medication is a difficult issue. If I think one of a good exhibition which I have seen is number of drugs taken by chronological age goals. That was display I found in British Museum. So when we are young, we don't take medicines. Occasionally, vaccine shots for diphtheria and so on. But after 60s, that is slope is getting very steep. So many drugs. But I think one of interesting study is that many psychiatric services in Japan, they prescribe too many drugs. The best drug is to stop medication. So that is many, I think, psychological institutions, they prescribe too many drugs. So reduce to 2 or 3. Usually that is good. That is evidence come from many studies. So that's number one. But one thing, Wakako-san, one is to enhance intrinsic factor, or I think internal sort of ability. So that is interesting because if we redefine senior citizens, not 65 to 75, the maximum aging population defined by 75 older is 24%, lower than now. So I think, and those who are now 65, many people start retirement and they are receiver of, for example, pension. But if we continue to work up to 75, about 10 years, they can also contribute of a pension system. So that is kind of logics. Many people feel that why don't we concentrate on extending healthy longevity, not chronological longevity. So that is perhaps innovation is very much expected. And then I think Japanese sort of acceptance of medical services are getting different. For example, used to be those who cannot swallow, it is very easy to put the tube inside, or even open sort of stomach and directly giving nutrition from to directly to stomach, not tubes through mouth. That is difficult for speak. But to put some small holes in the stomach and directly putting food, that is easier, right? But I think this is now regarded as sort of inhumane, artificial endeavor. So I think in many senior citizen institutions, informed consent does include: are you willing to be artificial connected to artificial ventilation system? Are you ready to accept this opening a stomach and the direct nutrition tube is inserted? So this is now becoming norm. And in many cases, many people decline that I don't want this artificial elongation of life. So, but that is a choice. But I think that is used to be. I thought, well, many people does not choose to not have artificial nutrition. But I think actually many people accept in that case. I feel that my life is enough. I live long enough. So that is, attitude has been changing. I think that is an interesting phenomenon nowadays. But I think presently, 4 candidates are competing to the seat of president of a leading party. That is, present situation is concerned, that is nearly automatically become a next prime minister of Japan. But they are senior citizens' welfare is concerned, everybody is nearly the same. So that is, to me, a little bit worrisome. So we call silver democracy, because voting rate of senior citizens is high. So they need to have to attract senior citizens.
Yes,
so,
yes, that's right.
So I am advocating to change voting system, that young couples with 3 children should have 3 votes for children's vote for the future. To balance. Because otherwise, because our sort of demographic pyramid is heavier for senior citizens. So I think young people doesn't win. So I think that is interesting. Welfare services concerned, support for young mother, support for children is not much progressed. So I think poverty rate among single mother is worst, one of the worst in OECD countries. That is for me a national shame. So we need to improve. So my drastic viewpoint is why don't we change the voting system, weighted voting from younger generation. But it's quite highly difficult to be accepted by present political environment.
Right. Yeah.
But I think AMED is concerned. To me, other competing factor is glowingly, I think R&D is going for R&D for infectious diseases, particularly emerging new infections. So perhaps we need to have a balanced approach. That is important areas of R&D for preparation for next pandemic. But I think another tsunami we are facing is a COVID tsunami and also aging tsunami.
Right. Yes. Yeah. One of the we have around about 4 key areas that we are focusing on our R&D, and then one of the themes is infectious disease, and the other one is dementia.
Yes.
Yes.
So dementia is really important subjects for everyone. I think that is used quite intensively welfare resources. And according to projection, I don't know whether that goes. I think maximum number of demented person in Japan is 8 million, right, Wakako-san? 7 or 8 million. That 7 and 8 million is entire population of Switzerland, a doubled population of New Zealand. So that is amazing number. And also, I think one of interesting pressure is that presently our working population is about 65 million working populations, but that will be decreased to 55 million in 2040. So a 10 million, I think nearly 20% decrease of working population. And then demand for health and welfare service is increased. So when we continue productivity like this, we need 20% decrease of entire workforce, but 20% increase of welfare and health service staff need. So how we can do this? If we define that health person working averagely 40 years after getting licensed, every year we need 250,000 of new entrants by health and welfare staff. But presently birth rate is concerned less than 1 million. How we can generate 25% of workforce goes to health and welfare? How come to have enough staff for other industries, public services? So how we can generate? So only way is to increase productivity of health and welfare. That's why robotics comes. And
Also
already,
integration, though.
The hospital which I am working for introduced sensor system quite well. That, for example, night shift is for nursing professions. That is very much challenging time, because one ward that is looking after 30 patients is looked after 2 nurses. But if some senior citizens have some urine or some stool problem in the night, to changing linen needs 2 persons. So in that case, there's no one in nursing station. That is really worrisome. So I think what we do is that to put some monitor under the lease of bed linen, and then body move is monitored, and then that monitors previous history says that, well, Mr. Nakatani is moving that way, that he is going to have some pee. In that case, nurse goes and would you mind to go to toilet? That will making their life much easier. And that is linking to quitting of work. That is looking after a pee and stool is a very much uncomfortable work for nurses. And that's the word of neurosurgery word and the stroke word. That sort of service was quite intensive, particularly at night. And departure of nurse was the worst in those 2 words. But after putting sensors, sort of labor loss was much less. So that is kind of innovations we can bring to.
Actually, in our award program through Alwyn, we had a couple of related innovations on the technology side. One was D-Free, which measures the urine in the bladder through a sensor, kind of a wearable sensor, and so it can alert you in advance. So that helps. And then another was Smart Peep, which is kind of one of these sensors for the hospital room. So that's a very interesting area.
So urine is easier, but I think bowel movement is a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But I think this is kind of innovations, perhaps, that will be benefit for many people, and also give a lot of business opportunities, because senior citizens is growing. I think this is the
I think it was-
Jenny. So is it still
Yes,
time or?
Well, there's the Accelerator Awards start in a couple minutes, but
Yeah.
there is not another breakout session immediately after. So if you guys want to continue talking, we can leave the room open, or we can finish and head to the awards.
Yes, I think because we are now becoming family talk. So Kim and also Wakako, and you know my mail address. If you have anything to contact with me, I'm very happy to respond anytime. And for New York, I am coming sometimes next year. Usually, I start my year by visiting New York.
Oh, great. Well,
Yeah.
please definitely let me know when you're in town, and we'd love to meet you. I'll introduce my other colleagues.
Yeah. So usually, what I do is to meet with HR directors of UN system, particularly UNICEF and UNFPA, and then I have some briefing for potential persons who wish to work in global health areas. So usually, Columbia University's postgraduate students are come. So we organize it in the Japanese mission. So you are most welcome if you can, you are around.
That would be wonderful.
Yes. So Wakako-san, I think I am often coming to Gakushikaikan and dine or eat. So you are most welcome to come if your lunchtime.
Thank you.
Okay. So thank you very much, Jenny, to help. Okay, let's close the session. Is
Thank
all right?
you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
great
That
day.
was
Thank you so
very
much.
interesting.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Jenny, thank you. I'm
You're
leaving.
welcome. Thank you.